The word Holocaust comes from the Greek words holos, meaning whole, and kaustos, meaning burned. Together, they mean completely burned. Today, however, when we use the word Holocaust, we are referring to the systematic murder of 6 million Jews by Nazi Germany during World War II. Many Jewish people also use the Hebrew word Shoah, meaning catastrophe. The Holocaust is one of the darkest chapters in human history. But before we can understand how it happened, we need to understand something very important. The Holocaust did not begin with concentration camps. It did not begin with gas chambers. It did not begin with mass murder. It began much earlier with prejudice, discrimination, propaganda, and the gradual loss of rights. Jewish people had lived throughout Europe for centuries. They were doctors, teachers, musicians, business owners, factory workers, mothers, fathers, children. Many considered themselves proud Germans. Some had even fought for Germany during the First World War. They went to school, they celebrated birthdays, they worried about homework, they dreamed about the future, and then everything began to change. Prejudice against Jewish people did not begin with Hitler. For centuries, Jewish communities in Europe had faced discrimination. Many times they were forced to live separately from others, and many times they became victims of violence. One form of anti Jewish violence was known as a pogrom. A pogrom was a violent attack against Jewish communities. Homes were damaged, shops were looted, synagogues were attacked, people were injured or killed. Pogroms occurred in various parts of Eastern Europe, especially in the Russian Empire during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Although these attacks happened before Hitler came to power, they showed that anti Semitism already existed in Europe. As we've already seen, after the First World War, Germany was struggling. Many people felt angry, humiliated, and desperate. Hitler promised to restore Germany's greatness, but he also blamed others for Germany's problems. One of his main targets was the Jewish population. The Nazis knew that if they wanted people to accept discrimination, they first had to change the way they thought. So they used propaganda. Through posters, newspapers, radio broadcasts, films, and schools, they spread false ideas about Jewish people. They claimed that Jews were greedy, dishonest, and dangerous. Some propaganda even suggested that Jewish people were secretly controlling banks, businesses, and governments. These claims were completely false. The goal was to make ordinary people fear and distrust their Jewish neighbors. And when the same lie is repeated again and again, some people begin to believe it. That is one of the most important lessons of the Holocaust. Before rights are taken, fear is often created. So the Holocaust did not begin with murder. It began with a gradual loss of rights. Jewish people were banned from certain jobs. Many teachers, lawyers, and government workers lost their positions. Doctors faced restrictions. Jewish people could no longer enjoy the same rights as other German citizens. Jewish children were also affected. Many were forced to leave the schools they had always attended. They could no longer study alongside their non Jewish classmates and friends. Instead, they had to attend separate Jewish schools. As time went on, more and more restrictions were introduced. In some places, Jewish people were no longer allowed to enter certain parks, shops, restaurants, or public facilities. Some businesses displayed signs saying that Jews were not welcome. Many Jewish families saw their bicycles confiscated. Others were forbidden from visiting cinemas, theaters, or swimming pools. Life became more difficult with every new rule. At first, these restrictions applied in Germany. But as Germany expanded and occupied more countries, similar measures were introduced there as well. Year after year, Jewish families faced more restrictions and fewer freedom. Little by little, they were pushed out of ordinary life. On the night of November the 9th and the early morning of November the 10th, 1938, Nazi violence exploded into public view. This event became known as Kristallnacht, in English, the Night of Broken Glass. The name came from the enormous amounts of shattered glass covering the streets after Jewish businesses were attacked. During Kristallnacht, more than 1,000 synagogues were damaged or destroyed. Thousands of Jewish businesses were vandalized. Jewish homes were attacked. Around 30,000 Jewish men were arrested and sent to concentration camps. At least 90 people were murdered. For many historians, Kristallnacht marks a turning point. Discrimination had now become open violence. The Nazis were showing the world exactly what they intended to do. In our next episode, we will follow Jewish families into ghettos, deportation trains, and the terrifying years of World War II.